Hong Kong marks National Day.
Speaking personally for myself, I find those comments deeply troubling.
Backlash over Rodrigo Duterte's Holocaust comments. And tension mounts between India and Pakistan over Kashmir.
Good evening. Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying has called on the people of Hong Kong to do their best to uphold the one country, two systems principle. His comments come as the country marks National Day today. But as Caleb Leung reports, protesters have marred the celebrations here in Hong Kong.
This year's National Day flag raising ceremony was held as the thunderstorm warning was in effect. About 2,500 people attended the ceremony outside the Convention and Exhibition Center this morning, including Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying and his wife, other government officials, and the head of the central government's liaison office, Zheng Xiaoming. Former Chief Executive Donald Tsang and his wife were also there. But it appeared that Tsang's predecessor, Tong Chee-hwa, was a no-show. The public viewing area was also filled with people witnessing the event. After the ceremony, a reception was held inside the center. In a speech, the chief executive said the country enjoyed significant achievements in various areas in the past year, and Hong Kong helped to contribute to that. Leung Chun-ying also said one country, two systems is the most beneficial and practical arrangement for the people of Hong Kong, and they should help to uphold the principle. He added Hong Kong should seize the opportunities that come from the country's latest 5-year development plan and the Belt and Road Initiative. The ceremony was interrupted when a number of Democratic Party lawmakers protested during Leung's speech. They demanded that Leung step down. They were expelled from the venue by security guards. In another protest, a group including lawmaker Leung Kwok-hong marched from Wan Chai MTR station to near the Convention and Exhibition Center. They called on Beijing to reverse the official verdict of the 1989 June 4th Tiananmen Square crackdown and to release former Wukong village chief Lin Zhulian, as well as jailed human rights lawyers. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
A fireworks display will be held at 9 o'clock this evening as part of National Day celebrations. Revelers have already been picking out the best spots on both sides of Victoria Harbour. Some arrived at the Tsim Sha Tsui Promenade as early as 1 p.m. Boats that will take people out to the harbour to enjoy the spectacle were inspected by Marine Department officials this afternoon. Authorities were checking whether there were nameless on board and whether there were enough life jackets. Tonight's show will last 23 minutes and feature fireworks depicting kung fu moves and marine life.
The number of mainland tour groups visiting Hong Kong during this National Day Golden Week holiday is projected to drop 20% from a year ago. However, the number of individual travelers is expected to stay steady. Evelina Leung has more.
Scores of mainland tourists in Tsim Sha Tsui on the first day of the week-long holiday, but not all of them plan to stay for the whole week. This Shenzhen visitor says she's only here to shop for the day. This man from Anhui said this is the first time he has come here, and he plans on shopping and exploring the city's culture. The Travel Industry Council expects mainland tour groups to be down by 20% during the National Day Golden Week holiday from last year, but the number of individual travelers will remain the same. The council attributes this to the relaxed permit application process for Guangdong visitors. Executive Director Joseph Tong said in the past, Guangdong tourists have to wait after submitting a written application. But nowadays, there is a self-service machine that approves the application straight away. This, Tong said, encourages more people to visit Hong Kong. However, the tourism board pointed out it's difficult to determine the exact number of mainland travelers coming to Hong Kong over the week-long holiday. That's because many individual tourists only finalize their travel plans in the last minute. And according to the Immigration Department, more than 135,000 mainland visitors arrived in Hong Kong yesterday. That's down slightly from a year ago. But the department says there was an increase in the number of non-mainland visitors coming here. Evelina Lang, TVB News.
Meanwhile, customs officers have stepped up measures to protect consumers during the Golden Week holiday. More on that from Rachel Lung.
Tourists come to Hong Kong looking for good deals, but sales malpractices may prevent them from having a good time.
A lot of scams, and that we shouldn't be lured into stores by, we know that business.
In an effort to clamp down on the problem, officers from the Customs and Excise Department were out in force today to remind consumers of possible scams. They appeared in busy shopping areas such as Yau Ma Tei, Tsim Sha Tsui, and here in Causeway Bay under the operation known as Argus. Authorities distributed pamphlets calling on consumers to read product specifications and do price comparisons. They specifically warned those buying dried seafood to check the price and unit of quantity carefully.
In the industry, there are two common unfair trade practices. One is misleading omission. Some such persons may mislead the customers into thinking that the items price per kg maybe, but in fact the price we will calculate in PO. And so you may imagine the big difference. Another unfair trade practice is that some such persons may sell some lookalike products.
Besides urging shoppers to be vigilant, officers also called on businesses to abide by the Trade Descriptions Ordinance. During this operation, officers will also inspect dry seafood shops and pharmacies. The department says it will conduct patrols at different shopping spots as well. Rachel Lang, TVB News.
Next, backlash over controversial comments by Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte yesterday, likening the killing of drug suspects in his country to the Holocaust. American Defense Chief Ashton Carter called those remarks deeply troubling as he met with ASEAN defense ministers in Hawaii.
That matter wasn't discussed at this particular meeting, but I can tell you that, just speaking personally for myself, I find those comments deeply troubling. And as far as the alliance is concerned, it has been in existence and has served the interests of our nations for many years now. And I did have an opportunity to discuss our operations with respect to it. The alliance is an alliance of independent and strong nations. And like all alliances, it depends upon the continuation of a sense of shared interest.
The United Nations also waded in. A UN official urged Duterte to exercise restraint in his use of language.
South Korean President Park Geun-hye has urged North Koreans to come over to the South. Park made the remark during the annual Armed Forces Day ceremony. According to local media, it's the first time she's directly urged North Koreans to defect. Park also stressed that the deployment of the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, is necessary. She said the U.S. advanced missile system is a minimal self-defense measure to protect South Korea from possible attacks by Pyongyang. Tensions on the Korean peninsula have been high this year after 2 nuclear tests by Pyongyang and a string of missile tests.
And tensions continue to escalate between India and Pakistan over the disputed region of Kashmir. India claims to have sent troops across the de facto border and killed militants, a claim completely rejected by Islamabad. Alan Booknear reports.
Villages on the Indian side of the disputed border continue to be evacuated after authorities asked people to move at least 10 kilometers back because of the tensions. Domestic pressure to retaliate has been rising since 19 soldiers were killed in a September 18th attack on an Indian Army base in Kashmir. New Delhi blames it on insurgents armed and trained by Pakistan who crossed from Pakistani territory. India said its special forces carried out surgical attacks on militants across the border 2 days ago, killing more than 10. Pakistan disputed that yesterday, saying its forces saw the Indians approach the line of control and easily pushed them back with gunfire that left 8 dead. Army Chief General Raheel Sharif said the highest state of vigil is being maintained at the boundary. He warned that any misadventure by a hostile neighbor would meet with the most befitting response. Kashmir has been the flashpoint for 2 of 3 wars between the nuclear-armed rivals. A spokesman for United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called for calmer heads to prevail.
The Secretary General urges the government of India and Pakistan to exercise maximum restraint and address the outstanding issues peacefully and through dialogue. He would welcome all proposals in that regard, as well as de-escalating initiatives, any de-escalation initiatives.
There have been anti-India protests across Pakistan following New Delhi's claims of its cross-border attack, and a summit of the South Asia Association for Regional Cooperation, set for Islamabad in November, has been postponed indefinitely. India announced earlier this week it would skip the meeting. That decision has since been followed by Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Bhutan, which all expressed their inability to attend. Alan Bucknia, TVB News.
Still ahead in the broadcast tonight, we take a look at how the migrant crisis divides Hungary. Locally, pro-independence banners appear on university campuses. And Ryder Cup action from Minnesota.
It was big, it was exciting. This is exactly what we're looking for.
The 10th year celebration of incredible talent, drive, and determination.
I have to say, that was pretty spectacular.
Tonight, Nature's Bounty presents America's Got Talent, Season 10, at 8:30 on Pearl. Bear braves the freezing Arctic cold of Scotland and gets friendly with reindeer on the way to climbing the highest mountain in the UK.
This bit's horrible.
Monday, Britain's biggest adventures with Bear Grylls. The last episode at 9:35 on Pearl.
Whatever your reason for flying to Europe, make all your business meetings a success. Experience the magic of Paris at night. Come attend a football game. Feel the roar of the stadium when your team scores. Fly to Europe with Aeroflot and enjoy the outstanding onboard service. Aeroflot, crossing Eurasia.
要節日玩得開心，記住保持環境清潔。有垃圾，梗係擺入垃圾桶啦。仲要好好保護屬於大家嘅公共設施。要一齊享受歡樂嘅節日氣氛。大家一定要喺人多嘅地方保持冷靜同埋守秩序。有你嘅合作，先可以 keep 到咁靚嘅香港。
At the southern tip of the African continent, where 2 great oceans meet, is a spectacular world of marine life, dramatic coastlines, lush kelp forest, and a tidal forest teeming with biodiversity. Tuesday, 2 oceans, at 8:30 on Pearl.
Welcome back. Thousands protested outside the Hungarian parliament yesterday ahead of a referendum tomorrow on European Union migrant quotas. They were demonstrating against what they say are anti-migrant policies and hateful government propaganda. During the height of the migrant crisis in 2015, the government erected a razor wire fence, one aimed at keeping migrants from getting into the country from Serbia and Croatia. Tomorrow's referendum will ask if Hungarians support EU resettlement quotas for migrants. Right now, opinion polls are projecting turnout will not top the 50% needed for a referendum to be valid. To the fallout now from another police shooting of a black man in the United States. This one happened in a San Diego suburb where protests forced police to release video of the shooting. This is the video capturing police approaching 38-year-old Alfred Alongo on Tuesday after his sister called 911 worried that he was acting erratic and wandering into traffic. Another officer arrives, and moments later, Alongo is gunned down. Magnified video shows Alongo quickly pulled out an object from his pants pocket, grasped his hands together, and held what responding officers called a shooting stance. Police were certain it was a shoot or be shot scenario.
During the confrontation with Alfred Alongo, Officer Gonzalez discharged his firearm, while Officer McDaniel deployed his taser.
It was later determined Alongo didn't have a gun, but rather a smoking device. One that, when pointed at the officer, was mistaken for a gun. The videos were released after days of sometimes violent protests.
No more death, no peace, no racist police.
We tried the whole Martin Luther King way, you know? Now it's time for us to get Malcolm X way. We've been quiet, we've been silent, and we're tired of sitting back and letting you guys kill us just because we're black.
Religious leaders urge calm.
It is okay to protest, but we want folks to protest in peace.
Alongo was a refugee from Uganda with a criminal past. Authorities had tried to deport him twice. His grieving family admits he was suffering from a mental breakdown but didn't deserve to be killed.
Yes, we are refugees, but that doesn't justify that we should be killed because of being a refugee. He had no weapon. I know, I'm telling you the truth. My son is a good, loving young man.
That's right, that's right.
Relatives in the Ugandan village Alongo left 2 decades ago to escape poverty, conflict, and repression were crushed. His uncle said Alongo thought America was the answer to all his problems.
Market watchers on both sides of the Atlantic are still trying to make sense of the crisis facing Deutsche Bank as concerns eased about its health. There are now hopes Germany's largest bank will be able to negotiate down the massive cost of settling a U.S. investigation into mortgage securities.
So in 2008, with the collapse of Lehman Brothers and how that propagated the global financial crisis, that to me was the medical equivalent of, of a heart attack. What we're dealing with here, with this long, slow, derating decline of European bank stocks over the last 6 years, is more like emphysema. It's creeping, it's insidious, but it's nonetheless deadly.
We've been in this tight range for a while. If you look at the beginning of the summer till now, we were stuck in this really tight range, and only recently we've gotten out of that range every once in a while, but come back into it. So it seems like when we dip down, investors looking at buying opportunities to get us back into play, and when we trade higher, investors are taking some profits off the table. The market is healthy enough to continue to move higher.
And back locally, banners in favor of Hong Kong independence today appeared on various campuses of universities. One of them was found hanging from a University of Hong Kong building. It was later removed by university staff. Similar banners were spotted on the campuses of many other tertiary institutions, including Chinese University, Baptist University, and the University of Science and Technology.
A scheme took effect today providing patients who undergo minor surgeries at private hospitals with an estimate of their medical bill before they're admitted. Health Chief Ko-Wing Man responded to patients' concerns about doctors overcharging them. He has not ruled out setting up a complaint mechanism in addition to the hospital's own complaint channels. Anne-Marie Sim has that story.
From today, patients at the city's 11 private hospitals who need 24 common non-emergency surgeries will be given a rough estimate of their medical bill before they're admitted. Secretary for Food and Health Ko-Wing Man announced the pilot scheme on Thursday, which is aimed at boosting medical fee transparency at private hospitals. Taking part isn't mandatory, and the medical quotations are not legally binding.
Patient rights groups are concerned disputes will emerge because of huge differences between the doctor's estimate and final cost.
I hope patients will understand that that figure cannot be a legally binding figure because each patient is really different from each other. Even if you are talking about a same operation, different patients might, because of their own pre-existing health condition or because of any minor or major complication arising, require to use the different amount of services. And therefore, it is just not possible for a doctor before the patient is admitted to be able to tell the patient exactly the amount of the bill that the patient would face after the operation.
Ko hasn't ruled out setting up another patient complaint channel.
If the patients are still not satisfied at the current moment, they can make their complaint to the Medical Council of Hong Kong. But in the future, when the new regulations or legislation for regulation of private healthcare facilities is enacted, hopefully 1 or 2 years down the road, then there will be another complaint mechanism above the hospital own complaint mechanism established by the Director of Health.
Anne-Marie Sim, TVB News.
All right, Chris, I see you have some golf action for us.
I do. It's of the team variety today. The Ryder Cup, the United States jumping out to a big lead before the Europeans came back to win 3 of 4 afternoon matches. The Americans lead 5-3 after day 1. Jameson Wong with more.
All-Americans in the morning foursomes. Jordan Spieth and Patrick Reed defeated Henrik Stenson and Justin Rose 3-2. Phil Mickelson and Ricky Fowler won 3 straight holes late to edge Rory McIlroy and Andy Sullivan. The U.S. up 4-0. The last time they swept any session on the first day of the Ryder Cup was 35 years ago.
We always feel pressure. We always feel nerves in the Ryder Cup, more so than any tournament we ever play. But you have to learn how to deal with that. And the tendency is to do what I did. You play tight, and then you free up. And that's how you deal with it.
The Europeans dealt with it in the afternoon 4 balls. Open champion Stenson teamed with Rose again to exact revenge on Spieth and Reed 5-4. And the European team got back in it with 3 wins out of 4 matches. The score after the opening day 5-3. Europe needs 14 points to retain the cup. More foursomes and 4 balls today. Jameson Wong, TVB News.
To football, and Everton and Crystal Palace played to a 1-1 draw in the English Premiership. Tonight, Liverpool can temporarily climb to second place with a win at Swansea City. In Major League Soccer, David Villa scored a brace to lead New York City FC over Houston 2-0. The former Barcelona striker leads the league with 21 goals. New York moved 2 points clear of Toronto in the Eastern Conference. And more explosive charges in football. An English newspaper claims former Premiership manager Harry Redknapp has admitted his players bet on the result of one of their games. However, Redknapp added he didn't think the practice was against FA rules. It is. But so far, there's no evidence he knew the players had placed wagers at the time of the match. The 69-year-old has managed numerous clubs in England, including West Ham, Tottenham, and Queen's Park Rangers.
And that's our news. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Good night.